Hello everyone, Cheek here with another Transformers review, and today I'll be reviewing the MPG-14S God Ginrai, aka also MPG-14 God Bomber. Obviously this is going to focus mostly on God Bomber and wrap up with God Ginrai. And you know, there's all the cool stuff you can do with them in the trailer mode. And then Ginrai Poland God Bomber. Character cards, first and foremost, just get these knocked out of the way. God Bomber MPG-14 and God Ginrai MPG-14S. And then the other side of the cards, if you want to take a closer look and maybe even get them translated. Obviously, this is Ginrai from the Super Ginrai. And here we have Cab, one of the Headmaster Juniors. I do believe he is a prince. And if you even notice, it's very nice, is that he actually has dark skin for his face, because he is, I don't know which islands he's from, but he's definitely from an island nation, and he's a pretty cool character in my opinion. We have Shuta, or Shuta Go. His father was killed by Decepticons, if I remember correctly. We have Minerva, and she is really cool. And then there's her hair going down her back like that. Pretty cool. I really do like the Headmaster Juniors. I think they're really cool. Based on the way their bases are shaped, that they can also, should be able to tab in. So they are I guess backwards compatible, if you want to say that. I have a feeling they're all probably designed around the same time, but there she is in the cab. Can't really see her that well, but she is in there for whatever reason. I could see it with my eyes, but the camera, for whatever reason, can't really see in there very well. And for this next part, I'm going to be putting on some gloves because, as is clearly evident, there is a lot of chrome on the front. And then here. I like the way the chrome looks. Don't get me wrong, I do love chrome, but I also hate chrome with a passion at the same time. It's a love-hate thing. It's nice to look at, but horrible to play with. Anyway, let's get them off to the side and pop the front without taking the front off. That's the downside of him being so modular for his transformations, is that it's easy for this to pop off. But I think that's so cool in there. You can see 3 seats. Obviously there's no actual seats, because if they were, well, it would be much thicker than it would need to be, and also they're in the standing position, so that wouldn't work very well. But you can see, and it's not even necessary detail because you're not going to see it, but you can see like a steering wheel thing. Not wheel, kind of like a yoke, but to pilot God Bomber. So God Bomber can be its own truck, essentially. Although, for whatever reason, the wheels kind of get off balance a little bit in the front. But these guys can go in here. And I did confirm that, come on, get in there. And I'm probably also going to store these, store the Headmaster Juniors in here, because that seems to be the perfect place. But I did confirm that Ginrai can fit in here, and it can close up with him in there, just to show that he can. And then it closes up pretty nicely. On one end, it doesn't really quite want to stay into place, and tab into place. And one thing I just noticed, there is a little bit of where the chrome's messed up, where it was cut off of the initial tree. There's also a prototype version of this guy that's unique to this set. I think the prototype set was pretty cool, although I will say I'm probably not going to really use it. I think the only thing that I really like out of that set is the stand that it comes with. I was also really excited about the bigger box. So I'll just get this one, get rid of the original box for Super Ginrai, because the bigger box is going to be set up for having both figures in there. I thought it was going to be more like the original box, but no. It's just a big empty box, essentially, with filler for the Masterpiece box for Super Ginrai, and then the Masterpiece box for God Bomber. I know that I've only really had two versions of God Bomber, this one and the original one, which I would love to show off, but unfortunately he kind of died on me. A couple pieces broke and I can't form God Bomber anymore. Except for his vehicle mode. That's the only thing that I can kind of sort of do. I think that they did this guy justice. I think they did a really good job on him. This guy feels, for the most part, like a really solid figure. The only thing that feels kind of like it's going to fall off, potentially, if you're not careful, is the back. But even that is still tapped into place fairly well. And then, of course, the biggest concern about picking him up is his back. His almost entire back is chrome. The only thing that seems a bit off to me, just a little bit, is just that his forearms are just so enormous. Like, I know they're big, they're also big in the cartoon, but I don't think they were ever this big. And he does come with a gun, a rifle, but I have not yet been able to successfully get him to hold it. And I think it has to do with the thumb articulation on him and just the tab not wanting to hold into place. And then and the tab is on the inside of the fingers, which means that you can't exactly close his hand around it once you get it in there. So it's just really weird. And then as you push on it to try to get it in there, it rotates the hand around, and then you can't really get your hand on the other side of his hand because of this forearm. But let's see, maybe I'll actually successfully do it for the first time on camera. And it's possible that the clearance isn't quite right on the tab as well, because like I said, I have not as of yet been able to successfully get him to hold his gun. Could be just something wrong with my copy, but it is a struggle to even try to get him to hold the gun. This is where I have a very mixed feelings about, it's not just Masterpiece, but third party in general, where they have really articulated hands, is that they aren't always the greatest at getting them to actually hold on to their weapons. And even if they can sort of hold on to their weapons, they just kind of hold on to them loosely, and then it feels like the weapon's gonna fall out at the least little breath of air or something. So it's rather unfortunate, but at least with someone like God Bomber, I guess I'll need to raise this up so you can get a very nice look at the upper top gun. But he has a giant shoulder mounted rocket launcher, which is really cool. Unfortunately, you can't really get to go down any lower, but one thing I do like is that there is a little notch for this part right there on the gun, so that it doesn't drop down. It's like a little support, but it's not like it's that heavy, but it's still cool and neat. The prototype face, I'm not sure if you guys like that face as much as, well, as little as I do. I mean, it's not a horrible face, but I just think that the face that they ended up going with, which is his face, looks amazing. Like, I think that this face is so cool and looks very friendly. I just love that design on there, and it's so shiny, like a nice shiny silver, blue for the eyes, and the head is not on a ball joint. And I'm not going to do articulation yet, so I'm getting ahead of myself like always. A nice Abba emblem, nice little chest panel right here with blue, and then of course some nice detail right there. A lot of paint. He looks really nice. Like, I really like the look, and that chrome, it just looks so good. But I also just know it's gonna get messed up at some point somehow, in spite of my best efforts. And if you look really closely, you can see the Headmaster Juniors in there, which I don't see how well this is gonna work out for them if they're in God Bomber when he's in robot mode. He does come with blast effects parts, the same that came with Super Ginrai, these right here. And just like the ones that came with Super Ginrai, I am paranoid that they're going to break off. It looks like this one is shorter for whatever reason, but yeah, one of them broke, but now I have 3 unbroken one. It'd be nice if I had 4. But as far as going with, like, I don't know, one for a gun, and then for these to make it like a jetpack, I think that is sufficient for my needs. And one more thing I think I'll show off is that if you lift this up, it does reveal a port to plug in the stand piece. One thing I will say about the stand is that it works. I think it's a cool stand, but my biggest gripe about the stand, however, is that it's a bright, it's like a, well, I guess that stand isn't the greatest, because he just, yeah, that's not fun. What is the point of a stand if it can't support the weight of the figure? Stand take 2. I'm kind of wary to do anything with this now, considering that he just fell off or fell over, but you can put him on the stand. But as I was saying, the color is the big thing I wasn't too fond of, because it just, I mean, it looks good with my backdrop, I will say that. So it does kind of blend in with that, but for most situations, you want something that's kind of clear like that. And if I will tilt this down just a little bit, if you'll notice, I know this is so you can put it with other bases. I'm assuming maybe there's a special version. It's been a while since I looked at the instruction booklet for Super Ginrai, but maybe there's a special order stand that you could get that was of a similar style to that, and then you could combine the two together. So maybe that's why they like that, but I just think it looks ugly like that. But you can adjust the height of the stand, and like so, and to get it higher. I will say the stand doesn't work the greatest for God Ginrai, just because he's so much bigger, so he's pretty much already standing. But I did get a pretty good pose, which you probably would have seen in the thumbnail. I did tighten this screw right here on this point, but I might also need to tighten this screw right in there as well, so he doesn't, you know, rock to the side too much. But I think it is cool that you can have it go off to the side like that, so you could have him, if he would hold his gun, have him holding his gun in mid-air and doing something, I don't know, something cool like that. I think that'd be kind of cool if he would hold his gun, which I think it'd be nice if they just give him 5mm ports. I mean, what would be so bad about that? I know it's not as, it's more chug as the term that we all like, us collectors like to use, but I would rather that and it be able to be held securely. Anyway, maybe do like siege jet fire. I mean, that was a good method if you ask me. Articulation. The head is not on a ball joint, but it is on a double. Whoa, and the head's not supposed to do that, but he has a hinge right here. You can look up pretty far. You can look down just a little bit. He does have quite a bit of wobble because of the side hinge, and the head can do a full 360. Arms, depending if you utilize this transformation joint. If you don't utilize it, it can only go out that far. If you do utilize it, well, until it gets in the way of the gun right there, it can go out about that far, probably a little bit further on his right arm. You get bicep rotation, elbow rotation, a little less than 90 bend at the elbow, given how big his forearms are. I'm not surprised. Wrist rotation, wrist bend, just a little bit of it. Thumb bend, no ball joint there. And a double hinge for the hands with a separate for the trigger finger. And then you have waist rotation, although not terribly much given the way he transforms, but that's still pretty cool. I mean, realistically, you generally don't need a whole lot, and there comes this. There's one thing I am concerned about wearing out on this guy over time, is this tab right here for the shoulder, but it comes out relatively easily. Even though I said he's like one of the sturdy, feels like he holds together pretty well, that's still not as solid as most figures, because like I said, he is more modular and all that. Okay, anyway, back to articulation, and I think I just touched the chrome. Yes, I did touch the chrome. Need to get it wiped off. Okay, it should be fine. Alright, where was it? Oh yes, legs. Okay, so there is the front and back flaps. Legs go forward. That, well, there is a ratchet. It feels like it should go a little bit further, but the ratchet's kind of pushing it down. Can't go back that far. Hip skirts flip out. he can't really do the full splits, but he can get quite a bit right there. Thigh rotation, over 90 bend at the knee, and lots of ankle tiltage on nice ratchet. Then you can kind of bend the toes if you like, which is pretty nice. But that is also more of a transformation for combined mode sort of thing. And before we get started with the combination, because it only makes sense for comparison, here we have him with Super Ginrai. And of course, Super Ginrai is going to be a bit bigger. That only makes logical sense in my opinion, because, you know, big truck, and this is just a truck and trailer, whereas this is just a trailer truck. I will say one thing that God Bomber has over Super Ginrai is more ankle tiltage pivot, but then again, do you really need him to splay out his legs much more than this? I kind of forgot about how small his arms look kind of in comparison to his body. Don't get me wrong, he still looks really cool, which is where I think the third party does slightly better, but I digress. And also, like I said, that guy sucks. His knees. Anyway, like I said, enough about that guy. But yeah, these guys look really cool together. And oh man, once I get them combined, I'm probably not going to take them apart for quite some time. Not because it's really hard or anything, but mainly just because they look so cool together. And here we have God Ginrai. And I forgot about this part right here. These little straps that go to fill up the gaps as well as help secure the front chest of God Ginrai into place. I forgot that the tab, I'm assuming on this one sort of tabs into place, but this one will not tab into place. So I think the tab needs to be shaved down a little bit because I cannot get it to stay. But considering that the tabs on the front seem to be good enough to hold it in place, it bugs me, but it doesn't bug me enough to risk damaging the figure because that is a part of Super Ginrai that would have to shave down. Overall, though, I think he's really cool. Oh, and also another gripe, but these are the only real gripes that I have with this figure is those two shoulder strap things. And then these right here, like these are really loose. Like they don't stay on very well. They're just kind of to make his shoulders a bit bigger. And I think they look pretty cool. I just wish they stay in place better. Now, this isn't really much of a gripe, just more of a potential concern, but is that it's only 5mm pegs holding the forearms on. for God Ginrai, sort of like the original one, although this one hopefully won't break like the old one did, but maybe someday it would if I have this long enough. Anyway, but yeah, I think it looks so cool. Like, I just love it. It looks like he's like wearing boxing gloves or something, or just, it just looks so cool. I love the red and blue. It's just so awesome. So this is pretty much a standard God Ginrai. I mean, he is so awesome. I like the way they incorporate all of God Bomber's pieces, although for whatever reason this isn't quite sitting as flush as it was the first time I ever transformed him, but I think he holds together fairly well, and given his extra height and all that and extra mass, it's understandable why these joints are so strong to begin with, so that they could support the excess mass, because he is pretty hefty. This, like I said, this is a standard way to do it, and then also he can hold this gun. In this mode, I was able to get him to hold it, and I'm pretty sure I was able to get him to hold it. It'd be very embarrassing if I said I did, and then it was not able to. One thing that it does show in the instructions, which I think is kind of cool, and I think this is specifically for the small guns, but they can plug into here and here, which I think is pretty cool. They don't stick up as much. Initially I plugged in the big ones, I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't look quite right. So I'm pretty sure it's for Ginrai's guns, not Super Ginrai's. And then I can't remember if I did this on the original or if it was even possible on the original, but put the shoulder guns down here like so get him real armored up, and I think that looks really cool like that. And then I was like, what to do with the big guns? Let's see if I can actually get him to hold it, because I could swear I had him holding it, even if it was briefly. And then these guns, they look nice on the back of the wings like so. And there you have pretty much all of their weapons on him, with the exception of this gun, which I am determined. I am a very determined individual to get this on. So here he is with being fully armored up, and I think it looks really cool. So let's go ahead and plug in. And this, I think, is my favorite setup. Not exactly favorite pose, but favorite setup as far as having the accessories. The articulation is pretty much the same as for Super Ginrai, but with the same singular ankle pivot. It's just, yeah, I'm not going to bother going through all that articulation, because like I said, it is pretty much the same. Just think of him as being a little bit more cumbersome, so you might not have as much of a range of motion as you otherwise would, but you can still kind of rotate the hip skirts a little bit with him as well, so you get that. And I just think that this looks really cool. And I will say, the biggest thing that I love improvement wise, design wise, is that you do not have this trailer hitch hanging off the front in combined mode. And I think you could kind of tuck it a little bit, but it just was in the way. And then this is the one for God Ginrai, and this should just plug in right there. And then this stand is a little bit more limiting, but it's because it completely encases this hinge, and I think the reason why they did it like that is because they know how big and heavy he is, so that they know it's not going to be able to support. And there it goes. Please don't tell me it broke. Please don't tell me it broke. Okay, good. It did not break. I don't think it did. Okay. And it probably helps that I used the shorter one, the little stubbier one, because that is a concern of mine. Because like I said, one of these guns, that one, still has that broken bit in there. So let's go ahead and make sure that this is pressed all the way. There we are. Now it's fully in place. And then for God Ginrai, obviously it makes sense to have it near the furthest back, so you can have it at the tallest point. and then pose him however you see fit. Also, another thing you can do is you can take off the shoulder cannon and have him hold it, but I just think it looks cooler being shoulder mounted, because like if you can have something mounted on your shoulder, why would you want to hold it in your hand when you could just, you know, fire it from your shoulder? And there we have him in all of his glory, with all of his cool accessories. There are a couple of other things you can do with him. Like you can take off his forearm, and apparently you can put it on the stand, but I don't really see the point in doing that, because I think he might. I'm sure he did it in the show. Obviously, if he didn't ever do it in the show, I doubt they would have ever shown it in, or made it a feature of the toy. Oh, but man, is he glorious! He is super cool. And even with this stand, oh man, he's definitely going to be a center point of my collection. I just need to get a shelf specifically dedicated for Supergod Masterforce. I have one for Victory. Pretty soon, I think at some point I'm going to have essentially a shelf for Supergod Masterforce, Victory, and Headmasters, because I like all three of those shows, and I have figures from all three of those shows. Yeah, this is one of the coolest masterpiece sets that they've done, and given his size, it makes sense why Ginrai was smaller. People are like, he's so small, he needs to be bigger, because, you know, he's supposed to be like the size of Optimus Prime and whatnot. But I think, given everything, like all things considered, I think they made the right call. Anyway, I think I should go ahead and wrap this up, because it's been droning on and on and on and on and on and on and on. How could I forget? It's not super important, but maybe it is to the odd fan out there. But he also comes with a katana, samurai sword. I think it looks really cool, but also I'm sure he used one in the show at some point, but I really honestly don't ever remember him using one. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't, but that chrome is so beautiful. I'm afraid of just messing that up, and it just, in my personal opinion, does not really fit the aesthetic of this figure, which is why I nearly forgot about it. Other than I happened to see it on my bookcase, I was like, wait a minute, I left this out of the review. So here it is at the tail end. So that's about it for Transformers MPG-14S and 14, God Ginrai and God Bomber. I absolutely love this set, and if you like this review and you'd like to see more, please click that like and subscribe button to see more. Until next time, have a good one, everyone.